So today I want to have a chat with you about remembrance. This is Remembrance Day. But I want to ask you some questions. So first of all, can any of you tell me what is your earliest memory? Does anyone have an early memory they would like to share? I wondered if some of you would remember your first day at school, or maybe your first day at nursery. I'm quite sure some of you do, since it isn't that long since some of you did start school. So it's maybe just a couple of months ago. For others of you, it'll be a bit longer ago. What about being born? Who remembers being born? How do you know that you were born? How do you know that these things happened? Well, I've given you some clues here. We've got some photographs. So there's photographs of things like when you were a baby, maybe a little video of when you were having your first bite of food, of your first Christmas, things like that. There'll be stories. There'll be stories that your mum and dad and granny and grandpa's all tell you about things that happened when you were little. So this is how we know about being little, and about what happened before we can remember. So, do you know why we're talking about remembering today? I gave you a clue at the beginning of the assembly. It's Remembrance Day. So who here can remember the First World War? Nobody? I can't believe it. I thought somebody would. What about the Second World War? That's a bit more recent. No? So how do we know about them? How do we know that they happened? Well, people tell us stories. And I've got a story for you and some things to show you. So, these are some very special postcards. And they were sent from France during the First World War. That means that they are more than 100 years old. They are really, really old. This one was sent in October 1915. And this one was sent at Christmas. It was Christmas 1916. And on the back, there's messages. Messages written from a man to his niece. And they're very happy messages. He tells her a lot to laugh and be happy, and to play with her brother, and to be nice and kind to her little brother. And I suspect that maybe he wasn't finding much to laugh about where he was. These were messages of love from the front line. Now I know that these were sent by a man called Fred Mitchell. Here he is. And those same letters, RAMC, that we saw on the postcard. And they stand for Royal Army Medical Corps. And he worked in the ambulance, with the ambulances, and he helped to bring injured people from the front line to the hospitals for treatment. Now, I know this about him because this was my great-grandfather. And I remember him when I was a little girl. I was about 6 when he died. We know about things because we have family stories. We know about things because we have photographs. We know about things that have happened because we've got tangible things, like the postcards. There's also poppies. We have people wear poppies to help them remember. They help them remember what happened in the war. And I have a poem here, read by a lady who is going to tell us all about why it is we wear a poppy.
Why wear a poppy? Please wear a puppy, the lady said, and held one forth, but I shook my head. Then I stopped and watched as she offered them there, and her face was old and lined with care. But beneath the scars the years had made, there remained a smile that refused to fade. A boy came whistling down the street, bouncing along on carefree feet. His smile was full of joy and fun. Lady, said he, may I have one? When she pinned it on, he turned to say, why do we wear a puppy today? The lady smiled in her wistful way and answered, this is Remembrance Day. And the puppy there is a symbol for the gallant men who died in war. And because they did, you and I are free. That's why we wear a puppy, you see. I had a boy about your size with golden hair and big blue eyes. He loved to play and jump and shout. Free as a bird he would race about. As the years went by, he learned and grew and became a man as you will too. He was fine and strong with a boyish smile, but he seemed with us such a little while. When war broke out and he went away, I still remember his face that day. When he smiled at me and said goodbye, I'll be back soon, Mom, so please don't cry. But the war went on and he had to stay, and all I could do was wait and pray. His letters told of the awful fight. I can see it still in my dreams at night, with the tanks and guns and cruel barbed wire, and the mines and bullets, the bombs and fire. Till at last the war was won, and that's why we wear a puppy, son. The small boy turned as if to go, then said, thanks, lady, I'm glad to know. That sure did sound like an awful fight, but your son, did he come back all right? A tear rolled down each faded cheek. She shook her head but didn't speak. I slunk away in a sort of shame, and if you were me, you'd have done the same. For our thanks and giving is oft delayed, though our freedom was bought and thousands paid. And so, when we see a puppy worn, let us reflect on the burden borne by those who gave their very all when asked to answer their country's call, that we at home in peace might live, then wear a puppy, remember and give.
So,
Why wear a puppy?
that lady, Mrs. Lynch, she remembers the Second World War, and she had two brothers who went off to war, as well as a cousin, and her cousin didn't come back. But one of the things which people sometimes do is they sometimes light a candle, and sometimes Christians say prayers as an act of remembrance. So here we are, we're going to have a look through the things that we do to remember. Sometimes we look at photographs, we listen to stories, we wear poppies, we have candles, and some people pray. But I'd like to leave you with a song all about precious memories. And you can look at some of the pictures that are coming up. Yeah, my music doesn't seem to be working. So we'll just have a look at some of the pictures and the words. Fuzzy or faded or far away, shining and clear just like yesterday, making us warm and happy inside, making us sad and wanting to hide. Precious memories, special memories, what do you remember? People and places, special days, music, laughter, holidays, stories and photographs, bracelets and toys, playtimes and mealtimes, things you've enjoyed. Precious memories, special memories, what do you remember? Precious memories, special memories, what do you remember?